Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shade for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, brother like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this, and I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. You're
listening to the sports coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right, shout out to the fam. Welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all for being in the live on this one. Big ups to the fam. Hope you guys are having a pretty good weekend as we getting it rolling in Sports Coma style, man. The Saints got a matchup tomorrow Saturday noon against the Denver Broncos is the last preseason game. And I think a couple of weeks off until we get some NFL regular season action where the games count for real. So anyway, shout out to you guys. Appreciate you for being in the live. We're going to do our Saints Broncos preview. We're going to go over the latest news and notes here in this afternoon, or rather this night stream. So big ups to you guys. Do you do me a service and hit that like button? If you're not a sub up, hit the sub button. Also hit the notification bell, man, for all that great content, man, on the black and gold. It's busy time. All right. So anyway, with that being said, big ups to everybody. Big ups to Student for being in the live. First out, Pelicans Noel in this thing as well. Much love. Appreciate you for being in the stream. All right, much love to all of the rest of the fam as well for being in this. OG Jerry, OG to the third degrees in this thing. What's up, Desi, baby? Shout out to you. Brother Ronnie, shout out to Ronnie Stewart. Much love, bro. Appreciate you for being in the live. What's up, Aaron? Shout out to you, fam. Appreciate you for being in the stream as well. So we got a bunch of good news. What's up, Chantel? Shout out to Chantel, Slim, Aaron, big ups. What's up, Jane Doe? Shout out to you as well. Who that to you? Appreciate you. All right. Yeah. She says, what are we going to do with the line, with the offensive line you're referencing? All we can do is, is hope that that Kellen Moore could see, and the Saints have been attempting to kind of shore up the line. Like we've been saying, y'all two kind of y'all evaluations, man. You can't, if you want to put a lot of energy into getting something right, it has to be that offensive line. You cannot play with that. The offensive line has to be on point because we need them to play at a high level, so the Saints can sustain any type of success. We know that Spencer Rattler more than likely is going to be the guy going out there. And Spencer Rattler, as a young quarterback, like many quarterbacks, they're going to need several things. They're going to need the Saints went and got him a big wide receiver. Hope he picks up the system fast because they got him kind of late in the game. But they're going to need Devon Valley to pick up the system. He's a big target for Spencer or Tyler to throw to. They're going to need the running attack. He's going to need the running attack in the offensive line to stand strong and be able to put together and open up holes and protection for the quarterback as well as the running attack, because he'll benefit greatly by having a running attack. And also he needs solid tight end play. So those three things, If we can get at least two of those things, man, it should help. But no, most certainly the offensive line we've been hitting at that thing. We've been talking about the offensive line. It's not looked good in the first two preseason games, and throughout the preseason and in the training camp, rather. Y'all know that the defense has been giving it to the offense. The offense has been winning. Our defense has rather been winning a lot of the matchups in practice. And it was thoroughly the defense. So at some point, if you're going to have a tough defense who has to stop people from running and take the ball away, shorten the field for the Saints offense, the Saints have to get the ball in the end zone. They're going to have to be able to run the ball, and that helps in possession of clock, helps to severely weaken your offense, your opposing team's offense, by restricting what they can do with their playbook, by simply removing the time, the gift of time from them. And this is a part of the game that we have not seen consistently from Kellen Moore's offense. Now, we've seen it in his backups. But when the times come, a lot of the backups is not going to be playing. The starters that make the money need to step up and handle the business. So we've talked about that. Shout out to you, Jane Doe, for bringing that up, because without that, there is nothing. I'm just keeping it all the way funky. All right, so big ups to y'all. Appreciate y'all. What's up, Desi, baby? Shout out to Desi, Sonia. Much love to the Queens, man. I always appreciate the Queens for stopping by, man, and showing love. Big Smoke Dog, shout out to you, my brother. L Dub B Rock. What's up, fam? Appreciate y'all. Saint Doug as well. Much love, fam. Good to see y'all in the chat. Much love, much love, much love. All right, anyway, fam, let's get right into some of this stuff, man. We're going to talk about at first, man, and kind of cover the front on some of this stuff. And you see I got one up front here, and several stories we're going to talk about. We got one we're going to talk about veterans that may need a miracle to make the roster. We're going to cover that. The preseason matchup. We'll talk about some of the things to be looking out for. And of course, the running back trade options. Of course, I posted an update on the platform today about the potential running back. Robertson Jr. was traded by the Washington Whataburgers to the San Francisco Treats. So in the end, that's what happened. So he's no longer on the trade block, rather. But, there are other backs that are on the block, and this could be something that the Saints could be looking at. So we'll look at an article that kind of gave us some options on who they think it'll be, who the Saints could possibly look at if they're still looking for running backs, right? All right. Shout out to you. What's up, Farouk? Shout out to Farouk. Zion. Shout out to you, man. Good to see you in the building. All right. What's that? Mac and G. Shout out to you, fam. I hope I got your name right, fam. Mac and G. I hope I got that right, bro. All right, Who Dat for life, Chris. Shout out to you, fam. Appreciate you as well. And Sonia asks you, do we really need to make another trade? No, you don't have to, Sonia. No, you don't have to. You don't have to make another trade. But listen, let me just say this, because a lot of people have been asking me about the trade thing. Like, Q, why the Saints are trading? They sent 2 draft picks. I think one for next year and the 7th for the following year. Why they giving up picks for such and such? And then, you trade this, that, and the third. Because if you kind of look at from the Saints angle, this draft that happened this year with guys like Quincy Riley and Danny Stutzman and Jonas Sanker and Vernon Brockton and Tyler Shough, they drafted these guys for Fadil Diggs, Matavo, the big tight end from UCLA. They drafted the Saints didn't trade any picks during the draft, which is very odd, because usually they'll package picks to move up to go get somebody. The Saints didn't do none of that. They sat back and did the entire draft the regular way. They didn't make any trades. Now, they attempted to move up to get people. Now, I remember we talked about them. The Saints tried to go up to get Jackson Dart. They asked about Cam Ward. They tried to really go after Jackson Dart, but the Giants got up there and got him early, right? They wasn't expecting him to go that high. The Giants took him. But the Saints were interested in Jackson Dart, then pivoted to Tyler Shough. I guess he was the backup plan. So they don't have to give, any trades. What the Saints could simply do is after this preseason game is over with tomorrow, they could sit back and just simply be patient and see what happens in terms of who is released and who they can put the claim in for, who they'll end up getting. And of course, if you claim a waived player, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get them, but it does put them in that ability to see if they can try to claim somebody, or, if however the situation works. Also, what I was saying about all of the drafted players, this form of draft, the Saints picked up a lot of players that they added on to the team. They must feel, and whether me or you agree about the philosophy or not, they must feel pretty good about this group of people they picked up in this draft, because they added a lot of young players onto the team. And the Saints really feel like they're not that far away from competing for the NFC South. This is not a situation where the Saints are coming into it and say, hey, we're going to build from the ground and whatever happens. Like I've been saying, the Saints are not a burnt out, cratered team. They're not a team that hasn't, that doesn't have any talent, or they need so many things to be good, right? Smart moves, a good draft, good signing period, of picking up undrafted free agents to fill in certain spots, and the Saints are in the running. They're not in a dominant division in the NFC South. It's not a dominant division, even though the Bucs have won it. A lot of that could have been changed by better and more consistent thought process and leadership of the team over the last 4 years. And that's what we pivot to today. The team should have, let's say that again. Let me say this again. The team should have been winning over the last 3 years, the last 4 years, but hadn't been winning because of bad decision making at the head coach and the general manager level. The inability for a bum, garbage, possum face coach who didn't know what he was doing, he totally destroyed whatever hope the Saints had of winning. He had zero accountability. He didn't know what he was doing on the offensive side. He didn't step in and make changes when he's seen guys wasn't working. If the offensive line was performing like that, if I had offensive linemen that didn't know what they was doing, their asses in the street. I'm sorry. This is not for long. We're trying to win something. So you got to go. If you don't know your playbook, if you're weak and you can't run block, your ass is out of here. I'm not playing with you. You're gone. You might have looked like something in the preseason or something like that, but when you get in action, I recognize that you ain't up to the standard that I need you to be. Your ass is gone, player. I ain't got time to play with you. I did you a favor by keeping you this far. And I know it sounds harsh, but this is the landscape in which we play it. This is the not for long situation. So that guy did not operate like a general or a leader of a team. He did not do it. He didn't step in that offense and issue ultimatums or tell guys, listen, if this doesn't change around, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to move this offensive line coach out of here and put the number one guy, his assistant coach, in there and see if you could turn some stuff around. We need a spark some kind of way. He did nothing but set up there. Remember, the media was pressing on him. We were pressing on that guy for years to make changes. He lied and said he was going to make changes, but never made no damn changes. He wasn't serious about winning. And they wasn't serious about winning if they didn't stick it to him and say, hey, bro, you either get this together or your ass is out of here. Matter of fact, it took you to get that guy out of here. If it wasn't for you getting upset and taking the approach other teams take with their ownership by sit up here and saying like they don't have no power and whatever they do with the team is their business, that's bullshit. I don't know what, and this is the thought process that people have, like, oh, we just watching the team. We don't have no power. I told you that was a bunch of crap. As long as these people billionaires, but they're not billionaires because they woke up one morning and they had it. They're making money in a service economy that's tied to football in which people buy tickets. That's your money. That's whether you're buying them individually or in the package or for the season. That's your hard-earned money that you're giving to these owners that's making them billionaires. We know they're greedy. We know they're petulant. We know they're ignorant at times. They're hard to deal with, some of them. But at the end of the day, you can get them together with discipline and respect and straightening by telling their asses, listen, if you don't handle this business, I'm not giving you my money. And you do that with any business that's mistreating you, whether it's NFL or not. That's why I do not buy into the fanatical mindset, because they think fans are idiots. They call you a fanatic. A fanatic doesn't think logically. They don't. They just do what they told or whatever they put out there. If they say go buy it and the product ain't good, you're going to buy it and spend it. And well, at least I've got football. I mean, no, we're not doing that. Maybe whatever years ago, we're not doing that. But what happened, enough people last year got on code and got their asses away from them. And that shook Gayle to the core, and they put Dennis Allen in the street because of you. And Mickey Loomis did not want to do it, and it chapped his ass to do that. And I seen the reporters was good enough to tell you that you did that it was because of the supporters. The support base showed them, hey, you might want money. You getting the money from me. And as long as you getting it from us, that we control this thing, not you. Not you. Take your place. And at the head of that table, that's what I was telling the family members. And enough of us got in line and stopped it. Now you're starting to see things change a bit. But that's what I'm saying. What happened with the Saints over the last 4 years is bad head coaching, bad decision making at that place. You got all kind of really good players here. A few moves here and a few moves there. You're not a burnt out ass team. You have the pieces to win right now if you make the right decisions and you bring accountability and a game plan and make people, if guys are not blocking or they dropping balls or they missing tackles, you put their ass on the bench. And that's how you get their attention. They'll go extra hard if they missing tackles in that practice with that tackle dummy. You see what I'm saying? It'll put an extra thought in their mind like, man, I won't play. Because the worst thing you can do to players is take their time away from them. It affects their money too. So why go through all that just to say, and I've been saying that, these other people, these reporters outside the building, they don't know nothing about that. They're going to just sit up here and stat prattle and tell you about this, that, and the third. But we know that Dennis Allen was the primary reason why the Saints failed the last 4 years. He didn't know what he was doing. It's just simple as that. If the head coach don't have a brain, then your team ain't going nowhere. If he's confused on what to do, the team is confused. And despite popular opinion, the team will not win in spite of its coach. You might get a few games here or there, but not the majority, as you've seen the last 4 years. So, like I said, shout out to you for doing that, for running these people off. And when he got gone, his quarterback left too. That was two big things that changed the dynamic and the energy of this season. When Allen was gone, his quarterback left because he had no protection. He had no protection because Dennis Allen protected him from competition in the building. When Spencer was popular, he moved him to the third string quarterback, did all that funny crap. Didn't criticize him. But when he did something right, how about number 4? But when they lose badly, it's a team thing. You see, this bullshit flim-flammy thought process over the team was just completely idiotic. And with him going and his quarterback going, now you starting to see the light. It was bad decisions. Now, these decisions now to turn the team around is from a young head coach who never did it before. But this young head coach is starting to evaluate his team. And I told you, I said, he doesn't know the team like you know the team. That's why what they're doing is coming back to what you originally said and what we said here in the Great Saint Think Tank and Who Dat Nation is, where's that big wide receiver at that you need there? You had Michael Thomas. When Michael Thomas left via free agency, when his contract was up, they brought Cedric Wilson Jr. in here to take that spot. Cedric Wilson failed. He was a non-factor last year. He's not really doing much this year. So what they do, they bring Brandon Cooks in here and say, we're going to run a track team and have all this stuff going on. And then all of a sudden, when they seen that it wasn't working, now here we go picks to get the big wide receiver that we talked about initially. But we said it the whole way. We talked about needing a tight end. We talked about the fortification of the running back room. We talked about many different things, especially the key point was the offensive line. You can't play with the offensive line. We got questions. Penning is hurt, and he was a gamble to switch from tackle to guard inside. Let's just be honest with you. He did better, but if you watch the tape, he's still blocking high. And then if you watch the tape with Cesar Ruiz, he's struggling. Why is he struggling? He had more reps than anybody I know. Why is he struggling? So you got guard play. You got the tackles are doing what they're doing swell. McCoy is going to be a beast, don't matter. But the guard play is suspect at the starting level right now. And you see the non-gelling of the offense. Maybe they need more reps. So out there, this is a part of the breakdown. We thinking that ultimately that will end up happening for the Saints. They'll get first team reps. They got to. You don't feel if I'm a head coach and I'm looking at my team and they are not jiving and they're not connecting in preseason games and they look bad like that, man, that's not looking good going into. You got to at least see one series when they striking. When they striking and make you say, okay, we got it. Just one good series when they move the ball, score a touchdown. The first team, that is. Haven't seen it. They've struggled in these games. So regardless of if McCoy's in there or not, if Elvin's not in there or not, you still got other guys. You got more than enough guys to put on to play against the Chargers and these other folks, the Jags. You mean to tell me you can't do all right, you can't march and then you need some other guys for real, bro. I'm just saying, man, they getting paid the money. You should and listen, you're not always going to have, and y'all know this, you're not going to always have all of your players, but you still got to pick up wins when you can. You might not look as crisp and fluid with some of these players, but at the end of the day, you still have to go out and win ball games. That's the bottom line. Nobody don't want to hear that other stuff. They don't want to hear it, and they're not supposed to want to hear it. You don't hear it. That's why they get paid the big money. That's why you have to fortify your team using the depth chart and the practice squad and know how to slide guys from the pro stash talent on the practice squad that you could pull from if you have to have an issue with your team from an injury standpoint or guys are not performing correctly. You know how to move guys in and out of that lineup to keep that thing turning. So like I said, I am very happy about the fact that Kellen Moore's here. I think he is evaluating the team properly. He's going to take his time to learn it, but ultimately he's going to come back to what you guys are saying. So in the end, man, I just think it's awesome. All right. I know that's a long ass breakdown for you there. I appreciate who asked me that. Was that Linda? I think it was Linda. I'm sorry, Linda. I went way around the block. Oh no, Sonia. Shout out to you, Sonia. I'm sorry, Sonia. I went all the way around the block, baby. But that's what I'm saying. That's that passion coming out, about the team and what it's like. I said, I know this team. I know the Saints, man. We're not far off from winning a damn thing if we can get it together in the trenches. We'll be fine. I'm telling you, we'll be fine. We could have won. It was games last year and the year before and the year before that we were supposed to win, but we did some craziness in the game. We were supposed to beat the Eagles after the Cowboys game last year. Fell apart. There was teams that we should have won that we just did not execute because the team gave up on that guy. That can't be the case and won't be the case this year because the energy is totally different. The innovation, the players, the bright night, the changing parts, moving from a 43 to a 34, having new personnel coming in, offense, defense, as well as special teams, battles everywhere. It's a refreshing occurrence that's happening in Who Dat Nation. We were dialed in the entire preseason, man, watching all this go on, man. I just love it, to be honest with you. All right, big ups to the fam. I'm going to bounce back and hit some of these questions, man, but y'all do me a service, hit the like button. Let's talk on some of this stuff, man. We're going to start off with the Tyler, Shough, and Spencer Rattler thing as the Saints are trying to decide between the two, right? Shout out to Sports Illustrated, my guy Kyle T. Mosley and his staff over there doing a fantabulous job covering our black and gold. Shough responds amid Spencer Rattler rumors. Saints quarterback competition isn't over yet. New Orleans Saints are the final team left in the National Football League who has not named a quarterback. We know this. We know this ad nauseum because they keep saying it. A chunk of teams had to make the announcement. For example, the Chiefs, the Bills haven't had to go out there. And they don't have. The Chiefs don't have to say Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen are our quarter. That's already understood, right? But they have some quarterback competition throughout the summer. The Browns, the Colts, they name their stuff. Cleveland announced Flacco. Colts announced Daniel Jones. The Saints are still deciding between Tyler and Spencer. What about the Saints? Well, with that said, they're going to use the final preseason week as a way to determine who the starter is going to be. It's going to be either Spencer or Tyler. has gotten a lot of buzz this week. And we began with the first team this week, and who was named the starter of the final preseason game. Of course, Kellen Moore named Spencer Rattler the starter. So how does Shough feel about the competition and how he has done this summer? He opened up with Nick Underhill. He says, I feel like for me, I've improved every single week in game and in practice, he says. I think operationally wise, obviously the results weren't exactly what we wanted. But as far as what I was trying to do and continue to get better, I'm doing that. I think for me, just kind of continuing this with the reps that we're going to get and just go out there and put some points on the board, have fun. Obviously, you can't control sometimes the expectations when you're not in the game, but just go out there and operate, right? Both Shough and Rattler have said all the right things this summer. Now it's down to one game to see who will win it out. Now, enough like I talked about. I also said that I think Spencer Rattler ultimately will get the job, and he should. Tyler Shough is not ready. And if Kellen Moore did think Tyler was ready, then Tyler would be getting the first team reps in game 3. And the thing is, that is the test within itself, because up to this point, nobody out of the 2 quarterbacks have actually had a decent outing, right? Like, have taken the first team offense and has made them look like something. It's usually the backups come in and then everything gets to moving and shaking. But the first team offense, that's the test within itself. And the thing is, whoever can guide, whoever can make them look like something, hey, you got the job, right? Because we look at the statistics, everything is right. Spencer is ahead in terms of the stats. But when, you got to rely on the guy with the experience, right? And the reality is, if you put Tyler Shough out there and he's not ready and they light his ass up, you see what I'm saying? That can be a very, very, very tough, let's just say, it'd be a very sombering experience for the quarterback if he goes out there and gets it handed to him. And like I said before, because we know Tyler Shough is Kellen Moore's guy, he sees him as the long-term option for the Saints, not so much Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler is here to delay that thought process as long as he possibly can. So operating at the QB level, at a high level, keeps Shough on the bench. But let's not be fooled by this. The guy that Kellen likes the most is the guy he picked, which is Tyler Shough. But if he decides Tyler over Spencer and Tyler goes in there and crashes, or if he looks and he gets it handed to him and you pivot to Spencer, that is the optics look kind of funny, right? But it's different if Spencer's in there and Shough is learning while Spencer is in there handling his business. And at some point, he'll pick it up and learn it down the line. But it does provide us some exciting QB play, because Spencer Rattler, I think, with those items we talked about early in the show, the running attack, a steady running attack, protection from the offensive line, a security blanket tight end in Juwan Johnson, and wide receivers that can just rip it apart, because they're going to pile the line against Spencer. And he has three wide receivers that can cut it loose. If they won't throw 4 in there, they got every one of the Saints wideouts have high 40 times. They can get it. Devon Valley, they add 4.47 in the 40. Big guy, but can go. So you put that damn ball out there and test them one-on-one matchups if you got to. That's exciting for us if you want to stack up the box. So we're going to go from what we know. But anyway, as we keep it going, man, this is the thing that we have to be concerned about when you talk about the New Orleans Saints and what's going on with their attack and that sort of thing. But yes, Spencer Rattler, we'll see how you do tomorrow. We'll be on the game by game or the game approach talking about going to play by play tomorrow at 12 o'clock on the Sports Coma. I will be in the building, handling the play by play. So y'all, we already got that alert up. All right. Anyway, let's move on into New Orleans Saints versus the Broncos. What to expect in our week 3 final matchup. Shout out to the NewOrleansSaints.com, Ty Graffanini. I didn't even know Ty writes articles. He was a Pelican guy. I guess they do both. First quarter, this is what he writes. Typical the final preseason game. Saints, Kellen Moore said on Thursday, most of the starters will play. So we'll get to see likes of Alvin Kamara, Eric McCoy, Jawan Johnson, Devine Garcho, Chase Young, Cam, Curl, DeMario, Pete for the first time. More specifically, Spencer Rattler will get the start at quarterback, so he'll get one more opportunity with the ones to prove his case for the starter against the Arizona Cardinals in week 1. Can the Saints get the running game going early, taking some pressure off Rattler and setting up the play action? It was a bit of a struggle in the first 2 games, but Kamara also did not play in those games. We'll see if he can make an impact. Personally, I'm excited to see the first team defense go against the new look Broncos offense orchestrated by former head coach Sean Payton. You know, you got to get that W. Whether it's regular season or preseason, in the Superdome, you got to beat old man Payton. You know, you got to stick it to old man Payton. The first team defense has played well during camp and in joint practices against the Rams. Continuing that trend will gain momentum head into the open. The defense has been pretty solid overall. Now, in the first team defense kind of ain't look all that good in the last one and in some of the other game. But this is a part of the business where you want to see those guys in there. And like I said, between the last preseason game, which is tomorrow for the Saints, and the first regular season week 1 matchup against the Arizona Cardinals in a dome, it's a span of about 2 weeks. That's a long time for you to be just sitting down there waiting for a football for a football team. So you would want to at least give them, some reps in there to just get used to, getting a touchdown or getting something positive shaking, something they can build on, because that's what you're looking for. Something to latch to, something we can build on here, offensively speaking. So with McCoy in there, you should get some veteran leadership on the offensive line. Elvin is the best weapon they have. So having those guys naturally improves what you got going on because it's smart. Eric McCoy is probably one of the smartest guys out there. So he's going to settle everybody down. They said he'd been fussing and cussing at some of them people too. And I appreciate that, Eric McCoy, because a lot of people thought you was cool and calm, but now he kind of ratcheting it up at all this. And we need that aggression from you and your leadership forcefully on that line, because we're trying to create a mindset of having nasty offensive linemen that take care of business, right? Second quarter, I expect the starters would be out of there by now. Then again, as mentioned before, this is not your typical preseason game. Rattler should get more snaps along with his running mates. McCoy should be out by this time and will continue to give reps to backup center Torricelli Simpkins III, who's been looking phenomenal. He's been a great find. Meanwhile, at the wideout position, there's only 1 or 2 spots tops for grabs. This quarter could be big for Cedric Wilson Jr., Kevin Austin Jr., Dante Pettis, and Moochie Dixon. The punting battle is still in full effect, as well as we see James Burnap and Kai Kroger both punting during the Jacksonville Jaguars game. That also, even Kellen Moore said that he couldn't even tell you who's the guy there. But I have James Burnap slightly ahead of Kai Kroger, and Kroger's really punting, man. I mean, he's really punting. They have either one of these guys would be terrific how they punting, but we'll see. All right. Also expect to see the tight end battle continue. Trayton Welch really helped himself in the Jacksonville game with a couple of clutch catches and continues to get meaningful reps in practice. Can he try and separate himself from the pack? Michael Jacobson, Jake Stahl, Maliki Mutavo will have opportunities. Will Rattler have a chance to run the 2-minute offense again before, like he did at the end of the Jacksonville game that ended with a game-tying drive? We'll see if the situation presents itself. Also, defensively, edge linebacker Isaiah Foskey will continue to get a lot of reps. Let's see if he can get to the quarterback. So that's some of the stuff Todd has it broken up in quarter. So very interesting thought process is up for grabs. Cedric Wilson Jr., Kevin Austin Jr., Dante Pettis, Moochie Dixon. Moochie Dixon is not in that thing. He's headed to the practice squad. Cedric Wilson Jr. Should be headed to the street as well. Kevin Austin Jr. to me is probably going to end up on the practice squad. But really, we already know that Mason Tipton has done enough to make the team. And if the Saints are keeping 5, that kind of leaves somebody on the outside looking in. Me personally, I think Dante Pettis should make it. And I think one guy that should be put in the street is Cooks. And I'm just gonna say, well, Q, he's a veteran, this, that, and the third. I hear you, but he at a fourth wide receiver, man. At four wide receiver, what is he making? What is he making? Like 13 million for 2 years for a fourth string wide? Hold on here. Let me get the numbers right. For a fourth string wide receiver. You can't pay no fourth. I mean, the Saints could do it because they don't give a damn about the money anyway. But commonsensically, I don't think it adds up. If you ask me, I don't think it adds up. Hold on, let me pull up his contract. What is it? $13 million. No, let me make sure. 2 years, $13 million. So the guy's like $6.5 million as a fourth string wide receiver. That's what we're doing. I'm just saying, I had a show we talked about this on the last stream about the possibility of Brandon Cooks on being on the bubble. I mean, he didn't do a lot in the camp, 13 million for 2 years. And Mason Tipton is basically doing the same thing he does, cheaper and younger, higher ceiling. Mason Tipton ain't making nowhere near $13 million on 2 years. You only get that money if you're the top three wide receivers. And as it stands right now, Cooks is not. Unless somebody's hurt, we don't know about the top three. But Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and Devon Valley are the top three wide receivers. The Saints don't give up 2 picks to bring the man in as a fourth wide receiver. That'll waste his size. So they need his size along with Olave and Rashid Shaheed, which makes Cooks 4. At $13 million, $6.5 million a year, and Mason Tipton does what Cooks does better and cheaper, higher ceiling. It makes dollars and cents. All right, Q. And who would you move if you move Cooks out of that? I would keep Dante Pettis. Why? Because of special teams application. Dante Pettis showed you that he can play as a wide receiver in your offense, make clutch catches. He also has a high 40 time, and he's a returner. He has a return history, all of which that Cooks does not have any special team acumen this late in his career. If he's not a top 3 wide receiver, he should not be on this team when you got guys like Tipton that can do it. Maybe if they ain't have Tipton, will make the case, but I can't rock with you on that and put young people like a Dante Pettis in the street. You need returners, and the Saints right now have not ironed out who the return people are. You know, who are the returners? It can't be Rashid Shaheed. You need him in your offense. You can't risk him getting hurt on the return. It can't be Elvin. It can't be Kendre Miller. You don't need Kendre Miller, who's the second best running back on your team, to get hurt playing special teams. You got to have returners. And Dante Pettis is a returner, so is Velus Jones Jr. So listen, all I can say is that's what I would do. Now, I don't know what the Saints are going to do, but that's what the hell I would do. 13 million and you a fourth string? Oh, no, sir. Sorry. Good, if they made the trade that brought in Devon Valley, that right there says, boom. They said Donovan Peoples-Jones released him for him, but when it comes down to 53-man roster, that would look kind of funny trying to have Mason Tipton and Cooks as 4 and 5. Why? Mason Tipton is better than Cooks right now. I'm just saying, man. Anyway, third quarter. We do know that Tyler Shough will be second in the rotation at the quarterback and will get his reps after half. Shough and Rattler have similar games in the first 2 preseason games. Both started inconsistently with 1s and are very productive with the 2s. Will that trend continue? It bet not. It cannot. Will the Shough-Mason-Tipton combination continue to produce big plays? As we've seen all camp, there is a running back battle process in full steam. Hopefully the second team defense was force some 3s and also leading to some extra possessions for the offense so these running backs can get more meaningful carries. This week, rookie Devon Neal will play. He has been hampered with a hamstring since the first couple of weeks of camp, so he should get his first live action as a Saint. Can he impress the coaches in such a small sample size? In the backfield with Kamara, Kendre Miller, Cam Akers, and Velus Jones Jr., Neal must make the most of his time in the game. DeMarco Jackson, Nephi Sewell, Danny Stutzman, Jalen Full will continue to rotate at the inside linebacker spot with Isaiah Stallbird, who's really been good at camp, has also signed on the special teams. Charlie Smith should continue to handle the place kicking and kickoff duties by that time, and Blake Grupe, one could argue that has been camp MVP and does not need to show anyone or show any more to the coaches. Like Blake Grupe ran away with this thing. One thing I could say about give Dennis Allen some credit on is Blake Grupe. You know, Blake Grupe has been special. The final quarter of preseason is always a conundrum. You want the clock to continue to roll into preparation for the regular season, but there was always a couple of final 53-man roster spots that are up for grabs that these last 15 minutes can be very valuable. We did not see Jake Haener at all in QB at Jacksonville, but most certainly should get at least a series in the fourth quarter. It would be great to see Haener lead the team to some points as he's really battled in camp despite limited reps. He don't have the reps because he's not looking good when they give him opportunity to play in games. You know, you don't go in there and then throw an interception. They was giving them a chance. You don't get multiple chances most of the time, especially they were very fair enough to add Haener in the battle with Spencer and Tyler early on. All that changed when Jake Haener got in that game and threw that interception. They ripped him right on the body. You know, after that, it became the Tyler and Spencer show. It became the Spencer and Tyler show after that. Right there, Kellen Moore showed you that straight up. So if it's coming down to it, if Haener plays, I care not. I care not, because the real battle is between Tyler Shough and Spencer Rattler. Jake Haener at this point is not touching any one of those guys. He'll finish as a third string quarterback. He can go in there and have 100 completions. It won't make a difference. He'll still be the third quarterback at the end of the day. All right, so safety Jonas Sanker preserved the tie last week with his game and interception and should continue his opportunities there. Rookies Jaden Price and Quincy Riley should still be in the game at cornerback as they continue to get tons of reps in preseason. Edge rusher Fadil Diggs and Chris Rumph will be unleashed at this time. Then we can also make a team on special teams coverage and return. Will Velus Jones be able to break one on kickoff? Can Stallberg continues his outstanding play at the end of the game? Who on the offense or defensive line can do enough to earn a spot? Enjoy the final tune-up on Saturday down at the Dome. So thank you, Mr. Graffanini, for a well-written article to kind of open up some thoughts about this team and what we need to do. But, like I said, man, it's going to be very interesting, to say the least, with a lot of battles going on. The punter battle, we talk about that, the situation of the running back, even though I think the running back room is Kendre Miller's. I think Kendre Miller has done a lot in this training camp to help himself there. And it's a shakeup going to happen in room. You got rumors of them looking for other backs, see if they can improve the room. But I don't think, maybe an insurance policy for Kendre Miller, but I guess they don't like what they're seeing with some of the running backs. I guess Cam Akers was a guy they liked, but Cam Akers hadn't done anything. Velus is a good weapon that you can use as a wide receiver, running back, and returner. He has value there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has done well. He blocks well. He catches the ball out the backfield. He had a few good runs, but maybe they're looking for a bigger back or something, whatever. So it's going to be intriguing. I think Marcus Yarns is also headed to the practice squad. He didn't do anything to separate himself from the pack either, but he could be a good practice squad guy for us to learn over time. But, like I said, wide receivers, we'll see how it all shakes. It's decisions to be made, to be made. And speaking of which, man, the running back position, let's kind of segue to this, right? Shout out to A to Z Sports. They talk about running back trade options for the Saints include one of Kellen Moore's former players and a recent second-round pick, right? Let's kind of dig into what they were saying here for the running back battle before we finish up with the breakdown. Saints are monitoring the trade market at the running back position, according to reports. While Elvin's locked as a starter and Kendre Miller seeming like the clear backup, this would probably be a move for the third running back on the depth chart. With that, the price wouldn't be too high for New Orleans to acquire one. As of now, Cam Akers, Velus Jones Jr., and Clyde Edwards-Helaire are battling for a spot for week number 1. So you can see Deanna Rossini's original tweet that sources teams make calls in search of running back additions include the Saints, Browns, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the potential Saints running back trade targets For this exercise, I had different beat writers send me trade offers from New Orleans. The Saints will be receiving a running back for depth on their offense, and draft capital was also involved one way or another. The trade scenarios are simply ones that different analysts felt would make sense for the teams in the deal. Now, this is the one right here, the first one that they have, Zach Charbonnet. That is this the Ram here, former, I think he used to be with the Rams. Zach Charbonnet, the Saints get him Seattle, I'm sorry. He gets a 2027 fifth round pick. The Seahawks offense is getting back to their roots, and the running game will be featured, unlike what we saw in the Geno Smith's era. However, Kenneth Walker is fully entrenched as the team starting back, and they also drafted Damian Martinez, I like Martinez from the University of Miami in the 7th round, meaning they could be willing to part with Charbonnet, who's more of a one-gap power player compared to the zone run scheme that Seattle would deploy this year. That could spark the interest of the Saints, who could receive a nice power punch behind Alvin Kamara and fully relatively light draft compensation. This will be a smash deal for the Saints. Charbonnet fits the style of a runner they need to back up Elvin and compete with Kendre Miller. I do not think Seattle will move on from keep. But this would be a smart move for New Orleans Saints. Charbonnet was a 2nd round pick in 2023. All right, so that's the part of it right there. As you see, was Zach Charbonnet that they mentioned that he would actually be a pretty good move. So it's going to be interesting to see. This will be a smart deal for the Saints. Charbonnet fits the style of a runner. They need to back up AK-41 and Kendre. I do not think Seattle would move on from running back due to Kenneth Walker's injury history, but this will be a smart move for New Orleans. Charbonnet was a 2nd round pick in 2023. How about TD Price? Tyron Davis Price. This is an LSU back. Love what he did when he was at LSU. I thought that we can pick him as an undrafted guy. A lot of people didn't see it, thought he would be an undrafted guy, but the 49ers ended up getting him. But I think the Packers ended up getting him. I remember him playing for the Packers. But anyway, this is an intriguing proposition because Davis Price spent the entire 2024 season at the Eagles practice squad, so he is fully understand Kellen Moore's offense. The Packers signed him less than 2 weeks ago to due to injuries at the position, and he had 4 attempts in preseason against the Colts, getting 4.5 yards per carry. Nonetheless, he's expected to make the 53-man roster or practice squad because the roster simply has too many good players. Because of that, a deal makes sense for both sides. The Saints would get a fully young runner who knows the system, and the Packers will get some draft capital for a player who probably they don't want. This one does make sense as Davis Price is probably the right outside on the roster bubble for Green Bay, has the connection to Moore already, and the asking price would not be high whatsoever. Maybe they could pick him up on a waiver wire if they released him. Maybe the Saints claim will work. But Tyron Davis Price, I call him TD Price, is a dude that is a good, tough runner, man, could catch the ball, smart runner, hard worker. It would be nice to have him. Zamir White, he's a 2027 7th round pick. That's who the Saints will get. They'll give up cornerback Rajon Wright for him. Zamir White to the Saints is a trade that makes sense. It's obviously he won't be used very much in Las Vegas anymore with the Silver Surfer in town. So why not send him to the team that likes to run the ball and shown that they have depth behind Alvin Kamara? The Saints need a guy who could play bully ball. Maybe they can get those tough yards on 3rd down. Have you seen what Zamir White looks like? His nickname is Zeus for a reason. Last year was his first year being the main guy. While it may look like he resulted in Raiders having a bad run game, it was going to be bad even with Josh Jacobs back there. Granted, it would have been better, but the run scheme on run blocking and all the injuries, play call, and everything else going into it is what really hampered White in the running game. Now, White did put on too much muscle. Yes, it's possible, and it caused him to not have as much speed and burst maybe he would have liked. This year, he's transformed his body again. It's looking like a running back 3 on the Raiders. If the Raiders were to trade him, they would need some type of cornerback in return. White is a powerful runner and would support the other running backs in the Saints offense. He would provide a bit more value in short yardage situations and even at the goal line potentially. These deals all make sense, and it makes sense for the Saints, and we'll see what they got going on. But we got moves before the start of them. So these are not as you would say, these are not deals that you look and say players or like a Brian Robinson Jr. or a Travis Etienne Jr. or a Damian Pierce or any of these type of backs, because they have different backs right now that have trade rumors circulating around them. Robinson Jr. already being gone, Etienne is not going to come cheap. You're going to need to give up some compensation for Travis Etienne, or whatever other backs that they got out there. Some of these other backs that are still in their prime that can help you. You're gonna have to give up some type of higher compensation for these type of players. So we'll see. This is more of the conservative side approach on running backs as a third runner, because that's pretty much what you're looking for to help out, and that does make sense, right? It does make some type of sense. All right. So anyway, let's keep it going, man. Let's move on to it and keep it pushing, man, on this thing. Now, let's kind of elaborate more on this, because this is three veterans who may need a miracle just to make the roster. Cam Akers, Isaiah Foskey, and Cedric Wilson Jr. Right? That's the guys we're going to talk about that are on the bubble. Now, this is what the writer's saying. Shout out to says the Saints Wire. They saying that Cam Akers was relatively a late addition after it, and a former second-round draft pick from the Rams. He's a guy that hasn't looked close to himself. He looks slow, and he didn't have the burst. He's indecisive. I agree with the comments here against him, and he has simply not looked good in the Saints offense, right? And Cam Akers is definitely headed to the street. Isaiah Foskey, drafted with the early round 2 choice in 2023, came to the NFL with lofty expectation after 22 sacks and 27 tackles for a loss over the last 2 collegiate seasons and left Notre Dame as the program's all-time leader in sacks. Foskey's first 2 years in the NFL were abysmal. For a defense desperate for a disruptive player, he couldn't even see the field. Foskey looked clueless against the run and invisible as a pass rusher, playing a total of 147 defensive snaps over the last 27 games. Well, that's how you would look if you don't play. He couldn't get on the field. And like I said, the Saints added people here, and he was buried there. He was buried on the depth chart with the 43 defense there. And they played him in the special teams area of the field, but I often say, when you have a second round, when you have high capital, your first round and second round guys, you've seen a troubling trend with the New Orleans Saints, how they developing these players. Trevor Penning, I talk about Trevor Penning and I talk about Isaiah Foskey. These are guys that were taken high in the draft. Penning's a first round draft pick who's going into his 4th year, and Foskey's a second round pick that's going into his 3rd year. So at the end of the day, these guys are woefully undeveloped because they're not getting the support from the team. And it's a 50-50 thing because the players have to step the hell up, but the team also has to meet them there. And when you have a first round draft pick and a second round pick, you got to provide an opportunity for these guys to be able to see the field and put them in the proper position where they can win. They didn't do that with Penning. They put Penning in that left tackle position, and I told them not to do that. And everybody knew that was going to be a disaster, except for these idiots that was doing it. And it was a disaster. And I was saying, don't put him there. He's not a left tackle. I could see it. I talked about it before. Y'all know, y'all can go back and listen to the shows. It failed miserably. It stalled his development, how the Saints handled it, because it really looked bad in that second year. It crushed the man. Crushed his confidence. He often talked about losing confidence. It messed with his mind bad. And to the point where his game is better than what we've seen, but it still needs a lot of work. He's undeveloped. And Isaiah Foskey is worse. He's worse because he doesn't get any time in there. It's no time, it's no position, it's nothing. Why did they draft Isaiah Foskey? I go back to the thought process. If I'm the architect, if I'm ordering stuff and I'm putting people on the team, I got to have a role or an idea of what I'm going to do with this player. Why am I drafting Isaiah Foskey when they got other people that was here at the time? And where was I supposed to do with Foskey? What am I supposed to do? And then, you got to provide a lane for him to be able to show what he can do. You You got to be able to provide a lane. And he's going to make a lot of mistakes because he's a young player. That's just simply what it is. But you can't bang him up too bad if he screws up, because that's how we learn. He got to get in there and screw up and figure out what he needs to do and come back and get better. That's never been the case with Foskey. Foskey been undeveloped since he got here. The Saints never had a role for that man. Never had a role for him. And now they switching to a 34 defense, and now he's going to fall even further behind, even though he has some. It's just a bunch of crap with this. The Penning pick and the Foskey pick, it was just not done correctly. You don't take these players unless you have an idea of what you're going to do with them. It just sucks. But anyway, he hoped that Foskey would perform better as a stand-up rusher in the scheme of new defensive coordinator Brandon Staley. He's been given plenty of chances, leading the team in snaps over the first 2 preseason games. Foskey responded to those by opportunities by getting pushed around with ease in the 3rd and 4th teams consistently. Forget his guaranteed rookie salary. The Saints need to move on from one of the biggest draft busts in recent memory. We got one of the draft busts in recent memory. You talking about like Marcus Davenport? Major bust. The Saints picked that guy over Lamar Jackson. They had a chance to get Lamar Jackson. Thanks a lot, Coach Payton. How about Peyton Turner? We want to talk about busted ass 1st round draft picks? How about that guy? What are we doing? But anyway, the thing is the guaranteed contract. That's what I'm saying. We're going to see, because every damn year we get to this point of the year when you think certain players are not going to make it, and then they make it. We always have it. The last 3 or 4 years, we done had players that we felt like should not be on the team, but some kind of way they stuck around. Now, I told y'all, even though we know it's a foregone conclusion that y'all are absolutely right, that Isaiah Foskey has been outplayed by free agents that they brought in here. Chris Rumpf and guys like that. Fadil Diggs, even the draft pick of Fadil Diggs have stepped in and have performed admirably. But at the end of the day, the Saints, are they going to do that? Are they going to live with the optics of Isaiah Foskey? It's something about that. So I agree that Foskey shouldn't be on the team because his production doesn't say it, but will the Saints put him in the street? That's what I want to know. Well, the Saints say, you know what? We just have to cut bait on him. We still got this, that, and the third. He's still young. We need to. Will that be the part of it like we've seen from the past? We shall see on Isaiah Foskey. We'll see. Because something telling me, man, about Foskey. Keep an eye on Foskey, how the Saints handle it. We all know every year people make it that ain't supposed to make it on this team. We're going to see a couple of them this year as well. And a lot of times it be politics. The fact that they drafted guys and this type of thing, depending on how high they were drafted. How many damn times Marcus Davenport should have been in the street? You know what I'm saying? But even with Cedric Wilson Jr., right? I said with Isaiah Foskey, you got a guy that is here. He's not performing because he needs the reps to get better. But at least I could say more about him than I could say about a guy like Saldivera who can't even stay healthy. He can't even see the field. So I don't know how they handle it, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't be surprised if he cleared the cuts. I'm just telling y'all, man, this ain't me. That's just how I see they seeing it. That 2nd round pick is bad for cutting a high 2nd round pick like Foskey is bad for optics. It makes their scouting and they draft and look like shit. And even though it does look like shit, they held on to Davenport as long as they could, and they held on to Peyton Turner as long as they could. I've seen that from the past. I'm just throwing that history at y'all. And speaking of Cedric Wilson Jr., Wilson played for first few NFL teams under Kellen Moore, his first few, when Moore was an offensive assistant with the Cowboys. He had his most productive year by far under Moore in 21 with 45 catches for over 600 yards and 6 touchdowns. Wilson was signed in 2024 to provide much-needed depth to the Saints receiver room, and when Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed went down with year-ending injuries before the midseason point, Wilson or someone else needed to step up and provide some sort of production. He didn't. In 15 games for the Saints in 2024, Wilson caught 20 passes for 211 yards and a score. His season highlight was a 21-yard scoring pass to Kamara on a trick play, but he did absolutely nothing to help the offense as a pass catcher. Back in Moore's offense this preseason, we've seen more of the same out of Wilson. Nothing. He's caught 4 balls for 45 yards in 2 preseason games, but except for one broken coverage, has been invisible against even the second team defensive opponents. Boy, the Ryder really getting on him. Olave and Shaheed are back healthy and will be key weapons. The Saints also added Brandon Cooks this offseason, along with the apparent emergence of Mason Tipton and the recent trade for Devon Valley. There's simply no room for Wilson, who really hasn't even outplayed Dante Pettis or even Kevin Austin Jr., a potential 6 wideout spot. Unlike Foskey and Akers, however, Wilson's experience and knowledge of Moore's system could make him a practice squad candidate if the Saints look to keep a veteran wide receiver. No doubt about it. He'll definitely hit the practice squad, but that's a foregone conclusion. Cedric Wilson Jr., in my opinion, shouldn't even be on the team right now. I'm just gonna keep that. And they signed this man to a 2-year contract. I would have cut bait with him a while ago, last year, and would have went out and found me another wide receiver because they had a bunch of them early on that we could have went after. We have had the money the entire offseason where we could Gabe Davis and all these other people. These are better players than Cedric Wilson Jr. If you're looking for game changers or people that could take the tops off defense, he's a possession type that was supposed to come in here and be an experienced wide receiver amongst the other guys. Even though Chris Olave is a young vet, Rashid Shaheed is a young vet. But in the end, I think Cedric Wilson Jr. was a bad signing. This is one of the bad signings under the Dennis Allen administration that we should have cut and bait and moved on from. And they probably going to end up doing this year. He'll more than likely fall on the practice squad. So I mean, it is what it is, man. He just didn't do a damn thing for us, man. He didn't do a damn thing for us. All right. Anyway, man, let's keep this thing moving and grooving. Before I get to this next piece right here, let me finish up with the polls, and then we'll bounce back and finish up with this. And for the family members that's doing the polls, man, feel free to check it out. It's in our post section of the platform. If you go to posts, you can be able to see some of these that I've posted up for the fam. And I did this one 9 hours ago, and over 200 people have already hit it up. Which one of these Saints running backs doesn't make the team come cut day? Now, the options are Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Devin Neal, and Velus Jones Jr. Now, I didn't put Cam Akers up there like I told the family members. I didn't put Cam Akers up there because that's too damn easy. It's just too easy. Putting Cam Akers up there is so easy. That's like you pick that with a blindfold on. Oh, Cam Akers. No, I took Cam Akers because that's obvious that Cam Akers is going to be cut. I mean, that's obvious. But what about these men? Well, they said Velus Jones. 51% of the family members who, out of those 3 options, 51% said that Velus Jones Jr. would be the one cut. 33% said Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and 16% says Devin Neal. Right? Devin Neal. All right. And then, of course, the other one I threw out to the family members, and this one got over almost 300 votes. Which one of these stats which one of these Saints wide receivers doesn't make the team come cut day? Brandon Cooks, Dante Pettis, or Mason Tipton? Out of these people, 78% of the family members said Dante Pettis won't make the team. 19% says Cooks, and 3% says Tipton. So a lot of people are saying, based on that they believe that Pettis will be cut, which is a shame. Because if things were ran correctly like it was supposed to, then Cook should not be on this team unless you plan to keep 6 wide receivers. If you only keeping 5, the top 5 wide receivers right now, we already know the top 3, but the bottom ones played their asses off and deserve a active roster spot. That's Dante Pettis and Mason Tipton. If you carrying 5, Cook's on the outside looking in. Like I said early in the broadcast, Mason Tipton to me is doing what Brandon Cooks could do right now. He has really good speed. He got a high 40 time with his speed. He catches the ball. He runs really good routes. He makes clutch catches. So he has a higher ceiling, and he's cheaper. He can flow into the offense. We got Brandon Cooks on the deal for 2 years at $13 million. So a guy that's making $6.5 million for the next 2 years as a 4th wide receiver. Now, if injuries start hitting the room and all this kind of stuff, and plus, like I said, it's a value to have a Mason Tipton because Dante Pettis rather, because he also is a big wide receiver, about 6'2", has a high 40 time, catches clutch catches, runs decent routes, and is a return man. So it's a reason to have these guys. But like I said, this could be one of the situations where the Saints choose to keep Cooks as a veteran on the team, as opposed to a young gun that can make kick returns from you that can help out. We'll see. Then the Saints don't really care about that money, do they? And of course, this is one I got for the family members about grading the trade, right? Grade the trade, Who Dat Nation. We got that one there. Now, let me go up here because I missed one. Here's the one right here. Please rank the player's performance in training camp and preseason. And the player is Cesar Ruiz. And we had over 100 people voted on this one. And 70, we had two options, right? Encouraging and strong and needs work, struggling. 79% of the family members said, man, need work, he out there struggling. And 21% says encouraging and strong. So there you go on that, man. Just wanted to share with y'all some of the poll questions about some of the family members, about what some of these players. Because like I said, it's coming down to the come down, man. And it's going to be interesting, man. All right. And of course, fam, let's finish out with the preview. Now going into the game, of course, Sean Payton's Broncos have been playing very solid. Coach Payton's turned this team around in 2 years. He turned them around. He done moved his guys in there. Coach Payton often said Coach Payton did everything except for take a young quarterback, draft a young quarterback high, and make him a decent starter. Well, he found one in Bo Nix and have taken Denver Broncos. And of course, Coach Payton them did say that he's going to play some of his starters against the Saints starters, right? He's done a really solid job with the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos were literally a dumpster fire, moving back and forth between coaches. It's amazing when you got a guy that has a plan, who knows how to win and knows how to evaluate talent. He ain't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but Coach Payton has built a solid unit in Denver. And to be in the AFC West, where, that's the legends division. I mean, you got all the head coaches, in there. They got some really good coaches in Coach Payton's side of things, man. What they play out of the in the West? I want to say Denver is. Anyway, but this is the AFC. Yeah, they are the AFC West. They got Coach Harbaugh in Chargerland. They got Pete Carroll in Raiderland. Andy Reid is in Kansas City, and Sean Payton's in Denver. That's crazy. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Every last one of them dudes is going in the hall. I call them the Legends League, man, over there in the AFC West. Oh my goodness. Harbaugh is with the Raiders. I gotta say that again, because I was like, damn. Pete Carroll took the Raiders job. He back in he with the Raiders. Coach Payton's in Denver. Andy Reid been in Kansas City handling business. And Michigan Harbaugh is running the Chargers. That is a tough division to play football, man. That's a tough vision, boy. I'm telling you. And Coach Payton is up for the challenge. You can see that get his old blood boiling. But yes, it'll be a good thing for the Saints, whether to beat Coach Payton's Broncos club when they come to the Superdome, whether it's preseason or regular season. It doesn't matter to me. But getting the first win of the season, because the Saints did lose. They did tie. Now let's get a win. That's balance. That'll be balance, right? 1-1-1, baby. But yes, that's some of the things the takeaways is in the game when Spencer Rattler operates with the ones, he has to be able to, and we'll see, it should steady the line, and everything should be a lot steadier with McCoy being in there. He's the official leader of that offensive line. He steadies everything. Make sure guys are lined up. He controls the floor and this kind of thing. So having him to play in whatever reps they give him with Spencer Rattler there should help things, right? It should help. Elvin Kamara should be in there, so that'll help too. So, and having, maybe we get a good look at Devon Valley. We see Rashid and Chris out there, Olave doing their thing. Jawan Johnson, should see him too. So, and hopefully, we can get a good offensive series going. Now, Dylan Redunce will play the guard position. Cesar Ruiz will be there. but you would hope that they have some consistency there, because that's what Coach Kellen Moore is talking about, is that he wants to see some type of continuity with the first team. That's the thing. Let me feel good about this thing, because we haven't looked that good these first preseason games when we played. So to get something going, to kind of say, okay, we can build on that going into the regular season and just have some kind of semblance of chemistry there. But that's the biggest thing, seeing that happen. The protection, seeing how the protection along, for Spencer Rattler out there, how fast he processing with the first team. Just the chemistry there as well. And then of course the running attack. We want to see the Saints run the ball with the first team. We need to see some positive plays happen right there. They have too much talent on offense to be stuck in the mud. We got to see some movement there. We got to see, it'd be good to see some flash plays and some consistency and some rhythm. That's the first thing. And of course, the defense, same thing with the defense. We got to see some aggression with the first team defense, moving around, making plays, not allowing the first team for the Broncos to march the ball up the field, to see some chemistry and synergy there. And while all that's going on, you're looking for continuity from all aspects of the team. You're also watching battles happen as well. The wide receiver backup battle is starting to form itself out right there. You see the tight end battle is something else to be talked about. Who you trading Welch or Michael Jacobson, these guys who has the inside track there. I think Jake Stahl is probably going to end up making the team because he's the best blocker you have. So where, how many tight ends do they kick? Do they keep 3? Do they keep 4? Is how close is Foster Moreau to returning? Might have something to do with this decision. I think we probably won't see Taysom Hill. I'd be surprised if we don't see Taysom Hill until the Giants game in week 5, because I do really think that the Saints will probably kind of put him on that list, and then we won't get an opportunity to see him until the week 5 matchup. So we'll see how it all goes, man, with Foster, because we haven't heard Foster. At first they said he was going to be ready for the preseason. And he wasn't. Training camp, he wasn't. We don't know exactly where he is. And I don't know if I would be cool with just bringing Foster Moreau straight off the thing with no practice there. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see how the Saints handle that, because that's an interesting angle. Who are the backup offensive linemen? We know that Trevor Penning's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks with that turf toe. Who's in Dylan Redund steps into the guard position there? Who are the reserve linemen? Taking a look at the reserve linemen, we know Torrey Simpkins has done a lot. He should make the team. What are the other rest of these linemen? How about the UFL lineman? How is he doing? He didn't look too crisp in the game that he played last week. So it's few people there, perhaps how many offensive linemen the Saints keep as backups? Is it 3? Is it 4? Who are those guys? I know Torrey Simpkins is one of them. So you be looking for that as well. We know Landon Young is there. We know Shane Lemieux is there. We know Barry Wesley is there, and others. Easton Kilty really hadn't separated himself. He's been struggling. So watching the backup battles and the guys who you feel will kind of fill out the reserve spots there for the Saints. And of course, you cross over to the defense. Isaiah Foskey will be somebody we'll be paying attention to, but other guys have been really playing well. We'll see with the starters on the defense, how that will look. We'll see the backup linebacker battle. Well, you've seen Jalen Ford should make the team. Isaiah Stallbird has been tearing it up. He should also, it's going to be interesting. I think DeMarco Jackson has played okay, but I just think other guys have outplayed DeMarco Jackson. So we'll see if the undrafted guys have the inside track on the drafted guy. Another one of those tests that we see happen, right? We'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. And then the cornerback battle. When we see Alontae Taylor dealing with issues and injuries, we did see Quincy Riley have a 9-tackle performance. He's stepping up, stepping out. Rico Payton has some positive plays. We've seen Rejon Wright done some things really well from the cornerback position. The safety's also in play. Jonas Sanker had the interception. He was flying around the field making plays. Sanker is a baller. And then you look at Jordan Howden, had been kind of quiet on the front with Jordan. Here and there, you're hearing Jordan Howden there. More Jonas Sanker's players just been outshining a lot of those backup safeties there. But it's good to see him there. So it's some other stuff. And then, of course, the backup punt, the battle of the punters, James Burnap and Kai Kroger. Who gets that job? Very close. It'll be decided on performance tomorrow. Who will get the call? Who do you guys think it'll be? Do you think it'll be Kai Kroger or James Burnap? It's too close to call for me. I like Burnap, but Kroger has earned my respect too. He's punting the hell out of the ball. And then your returners. Who are your returners? and that'll be dependent upon who the Saints decide to ultimately keep and who have made the team and had made a good impression on our coaches, our special teams coaches, in the return aspect. We haven't really, I've been talking about it, but you haven't heard a lot from the Saints in terms of who these returners are, because that's very important. But, you have people like Dante Pettis. If he's a returner, and Velus Jones Jr., that's how those guys will make the team because of special teams. And you got to have returners. So that's why I was saying Pettis he validates himself. Not only could he play if a guy got hurt, you've seen him do it in the preseason. You've seen him do it last year. He's gotten better. So he validates himself and justifies his spot just because he's a solid backup, young wide receiver that's cheap, and he's a return man. Same with Velus. Velus Jones stepped out front where a lot of people said Velus Jones toward the bag, but when Devin Neal got hurt and Cam Akers started not looking too good, Marcus Jones didn't. Velus Jones got up there and was out there catching the ball, running the ball, doing all this kind of stuff. A wide receiver turn running back who also have return applications in the special teams. That also helps. So like I said, man, it's going to come down to it. I do not envy Kellen Moore's job to decide on who these people are. But like I said, y'all know that every year it's the same damn thing. You're going to get guys that don't belong on teams. So that's some of the breakdown. We'll see what happens. Like I said, the game will be live tomorrow at 11:45. I think we already got it already set up for the stream. 11:45 we'll open up with the early breakdown of it and kind of gauge the families before we roll right into the play-by-play. So it'll be fun, man, as we get ready for game day tomorrow on the Coma. All right, anyway, man, let's keep it going. Then I'm going to bounce to questions. If y'all have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, man. I'll do my very best to answer your questions. Please throw them in the chat and put Q in front of them so I can tell a difference right there. I don't want to miss anybody's stuff. All right, now listen, fam, let me do this. I'm going to play this, and this is a little off focus, but this was something that came across my feed. I got this Hall of Fame running back Eric Dickerson talked about Shedeur Sanders, and I came across like, wow. But he kind of talked about it, and he gave an interesting perspective on the Shedeur Sanders situation. Let me play this for you if you mind, fam. Y'all put one in the chat if y'all can hit this. I'm gonna play this, and then I'm gonna react, and then I'm gonna hit the comment section and go right to you guys. Here we go.
But about Shedeur Sanders, here's what I think happened. I think people and teams shied away from him just to get away from the noise. I think he became a spectacle, quite frankly. And I don't think the NFL functions that way. They're not about that.
Oh, are you serious? I had to stop it that quick, man. The NFL is a total spectacle. They're not about that, man. Who the hell you think? This the Catholic League? The NFL is all about bright, shining lights and noise. Could knock it off. Get it out of here. Owners getting drunk and every day. All kind of crazy shit happening here. What you talking about? They're not about that. You talking about the same owners that was taking yachts down to the owners' meet? Oh, they're not about the flash and glam. This dude think the NFL is the Catholic League.
That might work in basketball, but it doesn't work in the NFL. And somebody making a lot of noise, coming in, wearing a Rolex when he played, that kind of stuff, I don't think it flies well. And maybe from a Rams perspective.
First of all, man, listen, idiot. Wearing a Rolex and doing this after a dance is not a bad thing. Shedeur Sanders has never been arrested, never broke the law. He's a perfect citizen. And how many flashy ass guys that got drafted that came in the league flashy, talking big with big mouths and a lot of fanfare, that had a lot of stuff going on, that got into the league? I mean, it's a tons of people, especially at the quarterback position. So you can miss me with that bullshit. The NFL is not a Catholic league, man. With a flashy watch. I thought you was going to talk about a criminal report or something. See, this is how the establishment think, by the way. This is the establishment thought process on this kid. Come in here with a flashy watch. And who does he think he is with the flashy watch? That sounds a little jealousy to me, bro. That's why I see all of these cats. That's why I got on that old ass reporter that's up there in Cleveland. And the man, and Shedeur approached the man and kind of joked with him. He handled it the proper way. I was proud of him because the guy don't write nothing. He said, "Brian, what I do to you? What I ever done to you? What is that?" And Dylan Gabriel, who was drafted ahead of him, is way worse. It can't even complete a pass. Look like absolute garbage out there. And then he got the nerve to try to throw shots and talk about that. Some bitch throwing dirt balls. It's just amazing. That's why you got to do some straightening. I believe in straightening.
If they looked at it and said, we don't need this headache. I mean, I don't care how good he is. How good could he be given the noise he's making?
Well, what noise? We don't care how good he is. We talking about the Cleveland Browns, man. The Browns is like a season away from taking that helmet and putting one of them emoji turds on the side of it. They're a season away from adding a emoji turd on side of the Cleveland Browns helmet. I'm just saying, they don't. You need something up there. Deshaun Watson is awful, and they're talking about, and that's the hypocrisy of this thing. They're talking about we don't need a guy with all that kind of stuff, but you got a guy they paid $200 million from after he was hung up on charges of having sex with massage people who sued him. Oh, all of a sudden you turn into the holy pope. You got a guy up there with two. Let me say this again, because it don't make any sense. You people, this is not even my effing team, and I know better than this. Deshaun Watson was caught up and had Busby got a hold to him, and he got that contract. He had to pay all them people off, and that failed miserably since he got that paper. But all of a sudden, a fancy watch, you talk about a fancy watch, and the kid doesn't have a criminal record. He played 50-something games in college, and he won everywhere he went. So I don't understand what the bullshit is about dealing with your shit. It's not even my team, man. It just annoys me with this bullshit and these fake takes on, and not even paying attention to their own blasted history of what's happening. So you're going to overlook Watson sitting up there? And the guy does this with his watch, and you're doing this with the watch. Well, we don't need that fancy watch up here. You chickens. People crazy.
I disagree with that. If you're good, they'll make exceptions. And
right.
I mean, he's not on his dad's level. If it was his dad made a lot of noise coming in. A lot of noise. Rolex, gold, right.
Everything.
Dancing, everything.
Come on.
But his dad was a different kind of athlete. I just feel like, and I'll tell you this much here, what I heard from someone that's in the NFL, that the NFL told other, don't draft him. Do not draft him. We're gonna make an example out of him. And this came from a very good source. And he said that, I won't say who, somebody called the Cleveland Browns and said, don't do that. Draft
really?
Him. Yep. Draft him. Don't do that. Because they weren't gonna draft him out.
Okay, hold on. That's Eric Dickerson. Let me play that again for you. And see, hold on. Let me back this up a little bit. This is Eric Dickerson, Hall of Fame running back, one of the greatest backs of all time. Eric Dickerson telling you somebody called him and told him what they was going to do. That's collusion. But there was no investigation to determine why that happened. But everybody that got eyes to see know what time it is. We knew what time it is. Oh, it wasn't it. They didn't do that. Man, shut your dumb ass up. It's collusion happening. It don't make any sense. It had nothing to do with no fancy watch, and the man don't even have a criminal record. And he's won everywhere he goes. Get out of here.
Example out of him. That was a different kind of. I disagree with that. If you're good, they'll make exceptions.
Exactly.
You know that.
Johnny
he's not on his dad's level. If it was his dad made a lot of noise coming in. A lot of noise. Rolex, gold,
neon,
dancing, everything. I mean, but his dad was a different kind of athlete. I just feel like, and I'll tell you this much here, what I heard from someone that's in the NFL, that the NFL told other, don't draft him. Do not draft him. We're gonna make an example out of him. And this came from a very good source. And he said that, I won't say who, somebody called the Cleveland Browns and said, don't do that. Draft
really?
Him. Yep, draft him. Don't do that. Because they weren't going to draft him either. They weren't going to draft him. They were forced into drafting him because somebody made a call to them, said, and I said, when I say this is a NFL side source for sure, so this is not hearsay. Look, one thing about it is, and I'll just say it, they don't like when guys have brands, especially black players. And that's mostly us with the brand. We kind of, some guys are flashy and all that kind of stuff. They don't like that. They don't like that. This kid, Fred, I don't think you knew this. He had already made $17 million from a card deal that he already signed. A card deal. He had $17 million already for that. Then he had another 14, I think, from a was it a shoe, Nike or some shoe deal. So he was good with money wise, but I know he wants to play in the National Football League for sure.
So how does he do that? I mean, Cleveland picked him. I find it fascinating, Eric. You're saying somebody even called the Browns and said, "Don't do that."
Yeah, somebody called the Browns.
Really? The guy doesn't have a brain in his head, doesn't even understand what the man's saying. He playing games. Nobody that daft. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It don't make any sense. It flies in the face of reason and logic for that to even have happened. It's very easy to decipher what happened there. And you got these people that's old ass bastards sitting up there. Really? Well, I'm just blown away about that accusation. You're saying that was somebody in the league told you that, Eric? My goodness. Oh my goody. Oh my golly gunwash. That's unbelievable. That's bullshit, man. Stop playing. Eric Dickerson sit up there calm and cool and collected and telling you, hey man, listen. Eric Dickerson said it's a black thing. They don't like it a certain way. They don't like because there's jealousy involved. That's why we need straightening for shit like that, man. And for people that think like that, I want to run you through because you don't deserve to be where you is if you think like that. Because it should be shown by, it don't matter about that. It's about his performance and about how he operates on that field. It got nothing to do with them hating on his father because the guy performing gave you plenty of tape. The nerve of these people, absolutely crazy.
So what was the objective? He doesn't get picked. He's an undrafted free agent.
That's exactly what's going to happen. They were going to have him. He was not going to get drafted to basically show you this is what happens when you do this.
It's called a humiliation ritual. Look it up. That's what they do. That in certain groups, when they operated with control, it's called a humiliation ritual. Certain people go through that when they buck the system. The same system that put bread in their mouth when they think that they get too big for it, they operate in what's called a humiliation ritual. This is what's going on. People who know.
I mean, look, Fred, the NFL got all kind of power. They do all kind of stuff. You know that, and I know it too. But no, they were.
Fred don't know. He's sitting up there playing games.
Not going to draft him. And like I said, when I said it came from a good source, it came from a very, very good source. He said they weren't going to draft him. I like because when I saw it when he went to the second round, I said, oh, I said it out loud. They're not going to draft him. They're going to make an example out of him. I knew it.
You think
so the guy that they drafted, the quarterback they drafted ahead of him, he wasn't as good as Shough.
Exactly.
He even said it.
Right.
I mean, how do you draft a guy that you know that's not better than the guy that you drafted after? That don't even make sense.
Nope.
Do you think Shough knew they wanted to make an example out of him?
I don't think he realized to the extent that the NFL would go to make an example out of him. No, I don't think he knew that. I don't think his dad knew the extent that they would go to make an example out of him. I mean, but, the NFL has their own way of doing things, and it is what it is. I mean,
that honestly, that's pretty serious, Eric.
It's very serious, Fred. It's just serious. I mean, look, the NFL, man, man, you know how I know. Look, the NFL is going to make it about making money. They want to have this great image that they treat the players right. They're the good guys, and in a lot of ways, they're not the good guy.
Of course they're not.
They're not. I call
look at Goodell running NFL. They're the good guys.
I'll put it to you like that. They've done some very good things, but they've done some very heinous things.
Absolutely. Hiding that concussion data. Remember that?
Just like the race norming thing.
Right.
That's horrible. I mean, it's horrible, and they admitted they did it. So you can't have it both ways. You can't. It's that you can't sit on the fence. I mean, once you're one way or the other. I mean, you're trying to do the right thing. Look, I could see if Shedeur Sanders was a real problem, like
right.
had, say allegations of say assault,
right,
fighting, drugs,
sex with
all that kind of stuff. He's not that kind of kid. You might not like because he's a flashy like his dad was. Flashy just like his pops. But you gotta understand, Fred, that was back in
he ain't flashier than his pops. Oh no, he wasn't flashy like his pops.
In the 80s. So now stuff is more. It's a bigger light on things. You have social media, so it makes you even bigger. So for sure, teams don't like that kind of stuff, and the NFL doesn't.
Yeah, and maybe, his dad was flashy, no question. And maybe teams are looking at it like, not for our quarterback, though. You're going to bring a lot of attention to us, unwarranted.
And Fred's still back on the establishment line. Fred ain't learned shit from what Eric Dickerson just told him. Hey, maybe from our the quarterback position is the most flashiest position. We've seen flashy quarterbacks come into the league with chains on when they go to the NFL draft. They be having they flyed out suits and the chains and all this kind of stuff, smiling. You know what I'm saying? They be balled out. It's just really stupid, and some of these people just be playing games like this commentator here, this dude Fred, whatever his name is. He's sitting up here. Oh, really? Oh, guy, that's horrible. But at the same damn time, well, they don't want flashy quarterbacks. That's just what it is. It doesn't make any sense because the guy is playing a role.
Wanted attention. We're going to have to deal with the fact that you're not playing. You're going to become the story, and we don't want that.
Okay, so Deshaun Watson. See, that's what, let me get up off this, man. This is ridiculous because this is going to piss me off because the thing is, these people sat up there and gave, what was it, $200-something million to Deshaun Watson. He was involved in several lawsuits with massage therapists that said that he did something to him. And he paid a lot of them off. Tony Busby was leading that. He paid a lot of them off. He settled with a lot of them. So you mean to tell me him with a flashy watch and Deion Sanders' son is, they don't want that. Man, shut your ass up. This is the kind of foolishness and F stuff that we got to deal with these stupid ass people. That's why you got to straighten them out with your dollars and your discipline. D&D, baby. Dollars and discipline. That's how you straighten this out. I sit up here playing games in front of you, and just a whole play. Everybody can see it sitting up here playing dumb. Enough of this playing dumb stuff, man. They play dumb too much with this kind of, that flashy stuff. Man don't have a criminal record. He ain't involved in weirdness and sick and twisted behavior. Oh my goodness. We talking about quarterbacks that had all kind of stuff going on. They were messing with girls. They got accused of stuff. They was alcoholics, all kind of stuff. And you said, well, they don't want it. And we talking about the Cleveland Browns here. Somebody that need a spark. It didn't make sense for them to cycle around in the 5th round and pick Shedeur Sanders, but leaving them undrafted would have been too obvious. It would have been too obvious. It would have been too obvious. Go ahead and pick them. And who at the top got the power to do that? Who at the top of the NFL has the power to tell people not to pick somebody? Come on, put it together for me. Put it together for me. Who at the top has the power to do that? I don't even have to say it. You already know what time it is. And anytime you got a league ran by people like that who sit at the top of the league, you know what type of league this is. That guy is bad news. He been bad news. Nobody likes him. When he gets up there, everybody booing him. They be booing him for at least 5 years every time he step up there. But what does the NFL do? Do they get rid of an unpopular commissioner that they like, that the people, the supporters hate? No, they keep him there because he make them money. They don't even get rid of him to get somebody that you would actually like. They keep him up there. Hell on with that, man. Anyway, man, let's move on, man, because that's what it is, man. They sit up here playing these games and guessing games and bull crap all you want. But at the end of the day, we know what time it is, man. Shout out to Eric Dickerson, man, for putting that out there, man. For just saying what the people automatically already knew. Anyway, let's go back to my Saints stuff, and then I'm going to get on the body here. Bobbin says, Pat Mahomes played 3 series, scored all but 3 points. All right, KT says, always remember that we had all-pro guard Larry Warford and could have dropped at a top 10 quarterback in Jordan Love, but Patty Payton outsmarted himself and ended up with Cesar Salad Ruiz. That was a bad bet. I was against that Cesar Ruiz picking. I was saying do not draft a young center or young guard to put in front of Drew Brees, who could barely move. If the guy missed on a block, the guy, Drew could get hurt. You can get killed back there. And what happened? Drew Brees got crushed by Contavious Street the following season. Matter of fact, I think he beat Cesar Ruiz so bad Cesar couldn't even grab him or even tackle him to stop him from getting to Drew. But yeah, Larry Warford, Sean Payton, I don't know why he went after Larry Warford like that playoff series the year prior. He just almost like he just blamed everything on Larry Warford. He didn't make any other changes. And I mean, the Saints stunk. Everybody but Taysom Hill was trying to do something, and the Saints in that playoff game were absolutely dead in the water. It was very disrespectful. I hated that game. I don't like to use that word, but I despised the way the Saints came out in that playoff game. I despised it. They didn't come with no heart, like they didn't want to play. So anyway, let's keep it going, man. Shout out to you, man. All right. Let me go down here, man, and see if I got some questions. I'm way up here. All right, what's up, Mad Drummer? Shout out to Mad Drummer. He says, did y'all hear what Shough, old teammate, said about him? No, I didn't catch that. What's up, Gundam? Put it in the chat, bro. Ocharimo says the cornerback for Louisville spoke highly of him around draft time. Yeah, a lot of people there's several players from Louisville, along with what's the big center name? The offensive lineman that they brung here because of Tyler. Tyler has an opportunity. He has... What's the big guy? What's his name? Martinez? I want to see the man name. What's his name, man? The center that they brung him that was the tackle on Tyler's team at Louisville. It starts with an M. Mendoza? Is it Mendoza? Yeah, Mendoza, Jonathan Mendoza. So yeah, he brung him over here. So Tyler Shough, he definitely is a guy that believes in giving his teammates some jobs. Is the kind of dude you want to, hey, man, you made it. Hey, come on up here. I got a job for you, man. We're going to hire you. All right. Anyway, let's keep it going, man. KT also says, I'd cut Pettis and keep Vellis as a punt returner. Pettis, Wilson, Austin need to be cut. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you. Kevin Austin says, Shough has the best arm, the best long ball best placement. Thank you, bro. Appreciate that. Experience, though, bro. We going to see how it looks tomorrow, man. 504 says Cooks will be used mostly as a deep threat decoy if he makes the roster. We'll see, fam. I just think $16 million for a fourth-string wide receiver is a lot of money to spend for a fourth stringer. But then again, this is the Saints, right? Mad Drummer says that's true. I'm talking about the future. We never know anybody that Brady would have been as great as he was. He didn't go undrafted, so we could have something. But if not, Lord, yeah, bro, we got to see. All right. Anyway, let me keep this thing going. I'm way up here. What's up, Tasha? Shout out to you. Good to see you. All right. Much love. All right. KT had another one. He says Q would trade for Parsons if he was available. If he was available, I would definitely. You got to see what they're asking about, like Trey Hendrickson and Parsons. You got to find out what these are elite level players. Parsons, and if Trey's 30. But still playing at a very high level. But when you have an opportunity to get a Parsons, dude, that would be, I would say yes, what y'all want for him. To have a Parsons on you, but the Cowboys are not going to do anything with that, man. They're not going to do anything with Parsons. All right, Adrian, shout out to you, bro. Says we have a rookie coming in getting playing time before these other linebackers. That's crazy. All right. Like I said, Zion says Akers fall off needs needs to be studied. How Akers it's just when he got hurt, he wasn't the same running back. Y'all remember who Akers was, man. When he came out, man, he had it. But when he got hurt, it all changed, man. It all changed. He didn't look nowhere near himself. Yeah, Cam gone. Yeah, Cam Akers. Yeah, Cam is gone. He done, bro. The Saints give him an opportunity. He just don't have it no more, man. He don't have the burst. The instincts appeared to not be there. I don't know. He just didn't look good. Bishop, shout out to you. He says Q to hell with trading a running back. We need a Ruiz. We need a Ruiz replacement. A lot of people don't see that though, bro. It's crazy, man. It's like you have to put on the glasses from what's the show? Alive, They Live. They Live. Was that with Roddy Piper? You got to put on the special glasses to see the funny alien people. Some people don't see that. They think Cesar Ruiz is a good player. Like, nothing wrong with Cesar Ruiz. What's wrong with you? Like, they don't see it, bro. They really don't see it. but they will see it. All right. Big J says instead of need work struggling, it should have been trash lost. So yeah. So see, some of the family members see it. I was trying to be kind, bro. I didn't want to tear Cesar Ruiz down, bro. So I says needs work struggling. You know, if you said trash, then that would indicate that he needs to be thrown into the closest silver trash can that we could find. But needs improvement, struggling gives him the leeway to get better, right? So that's why I took that approach. All right, KT says, I'm holding off on Tipton until he shows that he can perform in the regular season. Okay, KT. All right, KT. I remember, bro. Yeah, KT's the scout, man. Yeah, KT, he did well, and Mason Tipton did similar stuff last year in his rookie year, but you got to see that he's improved. He did similar things, but he looks better. Like in these games, he's making these big catches. He's out there. He looks comfortable. And I think Mason Tipton's ready. But like you said, man, you don't know until you see it, right? So we'll see. Bobbin says Stallbird over DeMarco Jackson. We'll see. Undrafted versus the drafted guys, man. We shall see. All right. L-Dub says, I saw that early on X about Dickerson. Yeah, that is absolutely infuriating to me. And we've been knowing it all the time, but it was a reason why it's like steps. The NFL should have launched an investigation into that because teams were colluding to not draft the player. That is incredibly wrong. That is incredibly wrong. And it don't matter if it's Shough or anybody else. That's wrong for teams to collude to stop a player from getting drafted in an attempt to teach him a lesson or haze him or whatever you wanted to call it. Humiliate him publicly. So I would be interested to see if this gains ground to force them to kind of go into to investigate that, because with that information coming out like that, does anybody take it to the next level? Even though we know that John Gruden won his case against the NFL. Didn't Brian Flores win his too? The NFL is not a Democratic or even a Republican led operation. It is a monopoly system ran by oligarchs, and it's like they took all of their blood and poured into a petri dish and created this filthy, disgusting business person at the top of the team that is money grubbing, conniving, manipulative. You know, it's just one of the worst people in the business world that you won't have anything, and then pretends to be nice and loyal, all this kind of old stuff. Just absolutely just the worst type of people, that rotten person at the top of the organization. But they know the people don't like them, but they keep them up there. And I would really want to see this carry further, because even Gruden was talking about what they did and how they were colluding to destroy him because they didn't like him. And they picked through emails that made him look bad and passed on other ones, got rid of ones that made other people look bad. They just focused on him, and he won it. So because I don't know if the Shough thing gains legs where they would go after them for that. But I knew Gruden had the courage to kind of push his stuff through, and to literally, like he said, he wants to burn the house down. And listen, they deserve it, man. They've done so many evil and twisted things, like the whole Bountygate thing that they was doing. The whole damn Bountygate thing was a cover story for the whole Vicodin thing. People don't even realize that you got these people out here outside the team talking about the Saints cheated. The most of them other teams was doing that shit, dummy. They was doing that. They talking about the bonus system. All them NFL teams was doing that. It was all doing that. It wasn't about no bounty system. It was to cover up the Vicodin scandal that was going on with the city with Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis. I covered that already. That's when Paul Tagliabue did an independent investigation and proved it, and they had to reverse what they was doing with the Bountygate. They didn't have that same energy to even cover the story. That made them look. They had to throw all that shit out. Y'all remember? Put one in the chat if you remember Paul Tagliabue doing the independent investigation and having them to throw all that shit out of there. And the NFL had to offer an apology to the Saints. They didn't give them no money back or no draft picks, but they offered it. And these idiots still running around here talking about bounty gate, bounty gate, bounty gate, bounty go. And all of them teams was doing that, man. It was all doing that. But it's like you believe what the hell you want to believe. You believe what them people tell you to believe. But the truth, man, I guess the truth is too much for some people. They gotta live behind a wall or something. I don't get it, man. That's the truth. I covered it, man. I talked about it several times, saying that shit was a cover. It was a cover, man. They had it that y'all know it was behind Peyton. And then when the guy came forward to tell Loomis about what Peyton and Joe Vitt, I think it was the other dude that was going in there taking that stuff out of there, out of the safe that they had it, because they had he rigged the camera up to catch what was open, and they found out what's going on. And then he took the tape back to Mickey Loomis, and the show who was involved, and Mickey Loomis told him to destroy the tape. Because he ain't know at first, but when he found out it was Peyton, he had him to destroy the tape, and he covered for him. That's the real deal. All right, anyway, let's keep it going, man. All right, 504 Coach says, given how dirty NFL did us in the Rams playoff games, we should win against the order not to draft Shough. The NFL don't give a damn about the Saints. All they did was cheat us. The Saints participated, though. The Saints participated like the majority of all the teams did. They participated. They was told not to draft them, and they didn't draft them. They didn't buck the trend. They didn't say, hey, man, this is wrong. We don't do this. They didn't do that. They laid their head down to it and bowed to it. That's right. They bowed to it. It's just sickening, man. J-Rock says if they add that emoji, then they should change the name to the the Doo-Doo Browns. Hey, man, listen, man. The Browns don't have a lot going on, but to sit up here and try to play like it's a moral setting like that stupid host was talking about. Sit up here and the Browns don't want that flashy stuff, and they sit up there with Deshaun Watson with all those cases on them. Are you kidding me, bro? But it doesn't even dawn in his stupid head that what he's trying to defend. But they'll say any bullshit if you don't know better. I get out of here, man. Paper thin conversation with that, man. Easily shreddable. All right, anyway, let's keep it going. Who that record says, where are with my Jake fans? Who that records love Jake Hayner, huh? He making a team, bro, so celebrate. Get you a beer on Jake, man. He gonna make the team. Foul Full Coast says, Q, the same game they've been running for centuries. What if the blacks say I'm not going to play NFL? It would crumble overnight. If that happened, boy, you see some shit. You'll see some shit. Mad Drummer says, if Deion didn't know, they would have been in attendance in Green Bay. Mac and G says, nobody will watch the NFL without black people. I don't think it ever gets to that, man. Lamar Jackson plays with a diamond grill. Indeed, you see all of the hypocrisy in the conversation about this crap, man. It is absolutely amazing to me. Zion says they don't want a player to be too popular, especially if you ain't representing the shield. Well, the thing is, too, bro, a lot of times the NFL and the job is they want to draw. It made no sense because Deion Sanders' son was born rich. Deion Sanders been rich. When he had his sons, he was rich. So the boy been a rich boy, the man been a rich man or a rich child or whatever his entire existence. His sons were fortunate enough to be able to follow their father into the NFL. One as a quarterback. You don't hear all this talk about the defensive back who was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was like a 5th rounder or something like that. No, where was he? Undrafted. I think wasn't Shough undrafted? I think Shough was undrafted. Y'all correct me in the chat. But at the quarterback level, there's always been a history dealing with black quarterbacks. Don't believe me? Go pull up interviews by Warren Moon, Doug Williams, and other black quarterbacks. They'll tell you the truth about it. Don't take my word for it. Listen to the great quarterbacks tell you themselves about it. They don't have no reason to lie. IKT says, Q, if Dallas cut Phil Maffa, would you sign him? Phil Maffa he's one of my favorite running backs from what was it, last year when they had Phil Maffa, straight north-south power destroyer. Phil Maffa is a beast. I don't know if I would sign him, bro, but it wouldn't hurt to have a short yardage runner like Phil Maffa, bro. I mean, that's instant first down. Short yardage, bring Phil Maffa in there. He tan through it. Cartel says Peyton took Cesar Ruiz because the Chiefs wanted him, and he took Mahomes from us. So the year that's not a good trade, bro. It was just waiting. I'm gonna get back at their ass, man. They took Mahomes, man, and I'm gonna take Ruiz. And I'm like, oh no, bro. It's not a good trade. They won that one 100 times over, my brother. All right, what's up, Toy? Shout out to you. Mad Drummer says Q, I still will never forgive the Saints for drafting Davenport over Lamar Jackson. Indeed, they did that. They did that, man. I was floored by it. I was like, are you serious? But it happened. You know, it's time. It is simply what it is. Yeah, Mendez. Thank y'all, fam. I was trying to remember the offensive lineman name. L-Dub says, did you see Jamal Williams' interview? He did. Not seeing it, he was saying that DA didn't like a lot of players on the team. And we said that, though. We said that. That's how the Saints couldn't win. And how often did y'all hear me from week after week talking about the team and the Saints sitting up that line, Mickey Loomis sitting up there talking about there aren't any fractures in the team. And I would sit up here telling them that's a lie. Dennis Allen was saying the team is not fractured. Mickey Loomis was saying the team not fractured. And I was saying that's a lie. The team fractured because you had Marshawn Lattimore, you had Elvin Kamara, you had other Saints that wasn't as famous as those guys who were visibly upset about the direction of where the team was, even to the point where they tried to restructure Marshawn Lattimore's contract to make him easily to be traded that year. You see what I'm saying? How about the Jamal, not just the Jamal thing, but Jameis Winston thing? Jameis Winston saying Dennis Allen lied to him. He told him that when he got healthy, he can get his job back. What quarterback lose their job to injury? That's supposed to be a cardinal rule in the NFL. Dennis Allen did not honor no cardinal rules in the NFL. He threw his team under the bus when they went and got the touchdown for Jamal Williams, when that should have been a locker room matter. That should have never made it out there. It was Dennis Allen, the one that brung it to the nation and agreed with the Saints' most egregious ops. He said, he's right. He's right. I'll be damn mad. I want to, and he even apologized to the Falcons. He never apologized to your ass for all them stanky garbage ass years, but he had the nerve to apologize to the Falcons and throw his own team under the bus. And that dummy Mickey Loomis brought him back. And he's a good coach. I don't care what you got. Hold on, you goddamn it. I heard what you said. I don't care. Hold on. I don't care if you got him fired. Hold on, man. He's still a good coach. Dennis Allen's a great coach. Bill Belichick. Chuck No. Oh, yeah, you're a good coach. You're a good coach on the street now. You're a defensive coordinator for the Chicago Bears. Huh? Oh, Bill Belichick. Chuck No. Steve Walsh. Bill Walsh. Oh, my goodness. You can't make it up. All right. Yeah. Yeah. It's just sad, man. But anyway, yeah, it's cool. All right. Anyway, Jordan said, Jane Doe says, Cooks is insurance. My bad. Wife wanted to talk. Damn it. Oh, you got to listen to your wife, brother. You know, you say, hold on, baby. I'm talking to Q up here. No. You go ahead and talk to your wife, my friend. Alvago says NFL literally took a Super Bowl ring from us. Indeed. That's why the mighty Who Dat Nation hate, but a lot of people hate that guy. It's a lot of stuff. Remember, it wasn't just that. I can run out a laundry list of things that they tried to do under Goodell. They tried to steal Who Dat said they're going to beat them Saints. They tried to take that from the Saints and make that an NFL thing and force you to pay them for it. They tried to do that and was unsuccessful. I mean, the guy is just bad news, man. The guy's just bad news. And they like that guy. They keep him on top of the team. That goes to show you what they think about you. All right. Zion says, y'all remember how the Saints ruled against the people and sided with the NFL when the people wanted to investigate the no or no call. That's right. The Saints told them had players to come up and says it's okay, all this kind of stuff. They had one guy, all of the lawsuits that happened, Zion, they had one guy from Mandeville who had a lawsuit that bypassed and made it to, I think, the federal level. And it was because of the amount of money that was in it. The rest of them got kicked out because the NFL has pulled in these matters with the courts and all that. But his lawsuit made it through. And it was the Saints that influenced that man and said that what he was doing was a distraction to the team. That's your Saints. They are complicit with all kind of bullshit and wrong. I'm constantly going at them people about the F stuff that they do. That's why I be pushing people to kind of chill out on what you give them and what you do, because they be doing all this other stuff that you don't know nothing about. So it is what it is. All right, yeah. Well, Rita's she ain't no part of it, bro. I think she out of state living somewhere. Remember, she got caught up too. Something happened in Charlotte, somewhere in Carolina, where she pushed a cop and got arrested. Yeah, she doing her own thing right now, man. All right, Tim says them pills is the reason why we singled out. That's right, bro. People don't know. A lot of people don't know about that Vicodin scandal. But they came up, they concocted the Bounty Gate scandal over the Vicodin scandal, because that was the one that was supposed to happen. So they just created a cover story for it. That's how the Saints got hit up like that. It wasn't about no Bounty Gate. The guy that was saying that was a disgruntled guy. They had no evidence or proof about that. The NFL went out on its own. That's why when the independent investigation came through, they had to apologize and kick out all that shit. And you got people out here don't even know that. They don't even know it was that it was a fraud, and that the real thing was behind the Vicodin scandal that people should have went to jail for. But they covered up and all this kind of stuff. Mickey Loomis did a lot of F stuff, y'all. He did a lot of stuff, man. Y'all have no idea about that guy, man. Y'all have no idea. All right, Cartel say he was undrafted. All right, what's up, Louisiana? Shout out to you. What's up, Jarrell? Big ups to you, fam. I'm getting on down here. What's up, Kathleen? Shout out to Kathleen as well. Yeah, there we go. Cartel says you talking about them Vikings boat that scandal. Yeah, the Vicodin scandal, not the Vikings, the Vicodin, the drugs, the stuff that happened when they had the pills. Y'all look that up, because they talked about it. The NFL, and then the Saints were using all of their power and influence to tamp that down. They didn't want all that kind of stuff. They was using. I talked about it all the time. Yeah, I've been trying to tell people that whole Bounty Gate thing was a fraud. It was a cover story. English says, Q, what's up with this evening? How is Pete Warner going to fit into this new scheme? I think Pete Warner will do fine, bro. We just need to keep Pete healthy. As long as him and Demario Davis play together, I think they should be fine. But when you operate the 34 defense, the linebackers, they got to stay clean. So up front, we got to get work and guys move around. And we know Demario and Pete just got to stay healthy, and they're the brains in the middle there. So I think Pete will be fine, man. I think Pete Werner is a solid linebacker. He just got to just keep staying healthy. Jando says, "Did y'all see Rattler spin out of that sack?" Yeah, I seen it. Yeah. He got some game in him, man. He got a lot of game in him. All right. So anyway, fam, listen, man. That's all I got for y'all tonight on the show, man. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Tomorrow, the Saints will face off with the Denver Broncos in the Dome at 12 noon. We'll be in the building at 11:45 to kind of talk about the pregame stuff before we get to the game, the play-by-play, and of course we'll be just watching all of the Saints action and see what the first team could do and against Sean Payton's Broncos, and hopefully the Saints could find all the answers out to the questions that they have about their roster, as well as pick up a win against Sean Payton in the preseason, get their first preseason win. All that to be very positive, to kind of take a win into the regular season, or the feeling of winning a game into the regular season, and building some synergy. I want to see some synergy and chemistry from the offense and defense and special teams, and kind of round this thing out. And of course, we're going to start hearing as it goes forward about the cuts and all this. I think it's August the 26th is the cut day, where they have to be dropping the teams down to the 53-man roster. So there's going to be, so just prepare yourself, because it happens every year, family. It's always people that get cut that you feel like did enough to make the team, and guys that didn't. So there's a list of people that I'm keeping my eyes on to see guys that should probably get cut, but more than likely won't get cut because of politics. It happens sometimes. At the top of the list, y'all know Isaiah Foskey should be released. He just got outplayed by Chris Rumph and other players. Fadil Diggs. So does the Saints keep him? Do they cut the second round pick with fully guaranteed money? Or do they say, no, we're going to be patient with him? We're going to see, right? Does DeMarco Jackson make it over Isaiah Stallberg and all that? Does he make it? You know, does Brandon Cooks make the team and Pettis gets cut? That don't make any sense to me. But we'll see. You know, who's going to be the running backs? Do the Saints keep 4 or 3? And who are they going to be behind Kendre Miller and Elvin Kamara? Who's the third guy? We'll figure all that out coming up over the next few days. So yeah, we're here at almost at the end of preseason, and we're about a couple of weeks off from where the games start mattering. Of course, once the transaction, the releases happen, then you'll start seeing claiming. Might see a more draft. They're saying rumors is there might be more trades on the way with the Saints. They're kind of in scramble mode to kind of build that offense. The last week or so, last week, the Saints have really been trying to bring talent into the offense, right? That's something they should have did early on, but they getting it now. I guess the evaluations are in. It's like, oh my goodness, we need to improve this shit. You know, so they kind of moving around and scrambling to see if they can find talent to kind of help put the team forward, offensively speaking. So, you know, we'll be here for everything, man, to go about it. And like I said, man, I think we headed in the right direction, to be quite honest with you. All right, J-Rock adds that they also created a Bounty Gate scandal because NFL and Goodell when they tried to trademark the Who Dat and lost. Indeed. Yeah, he ain't like to lose. All right, thank you, Zion. Appreciate you, man. Thank you, OG. Appreciate y'all for stepping in here. Jason K said, had fun, be safe. All right, but with that being said, man, I'm gonna get on up out of here, man. I appreciate all of y'all, man. Y'all know that I have nothing but love for the great Saint Tank and the mighty Who Dat Nation, man. We got a season coming up here, man, with some football, man. And listen, man, we just gonna enjoy it. We're gonna enjoy it however it is, bro. We just gonna enjoy it. And see what the young squad bring us with really the young quarterback play. If the Saints can run the ball, if the defense can step up, handle business, special teams can be special, return game in there, everything, man. We getting there. It was a while, but we almost there. A couple of weeks from now, we'll be opening the regular season, right? Well, let's enjoy this last preseason game. With that being said, do me a service. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're not a sub up to the Coma. Also, family, check out our great sponsors. The links in the description section below. Optory giving 20% discount on the virtual privacy protections, all of the great services they offer. Not only do they take care of it for you, but they also will teach you how to do it even if you don't use their service. That's how great of a company they are. Mint Mobile, Teach Henley, these are great sponsors for the show. Also check out the WhoDatDaily.com for all your latest news. The new WhoDatDaily.com full news site. Politics, everything, you know, Saints, Pelicans, LSU, whatever, and politics, everything is there at the new WhoDatDaily.com. So with that being said, I'm gonna get out on that. Appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow on game day and for the black and gold. Much love. Who Dat to you. Peace.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shade for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, money like this and I'm a Who Dat. Every day I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a Who Dat. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Who that say they gon' beat them Saints? Who TheWhoThatDaily.com. That's right, TheWhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who Dat and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, TheWhoThatDaily.com is your site. TheWhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who Dat in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and Who Dat too.